The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of the books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I'd borrowed into the return slot on the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Ah, sorry, Yuko, didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine. It happens a lot. I'm used to it by now. Okay, Skip. I guess I need to buy some supplies. I can't live off cafeteria food and eating out for my entire stay here. As I leap for the gate, I make a few loud stretches to try and stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. After passing through and rounding the corner, though, I see a solitary figure walking downhill towards the small town below. The color of her hair and tapping of her cane are unmistakable. I quickly walk up to her, which seems to catch her attention without a word needing to be said. Hi, Lily. She takes a moment to place the voice, slightly adjusting her head to face a bit more towards the source of my voice as she does. Hisao? Yep, that's me. She seems to have a good memory for voices. The fact that she actually remembered is a pleasant surprise. Good evening. What brings you here? Once again, she gives a small, polite bow, and once again, I reply in kind before realizing that I needn't do so. Just going into town. You? My, what a coincidence. Doing the same thing, huh? I usually go shopping on Fridays. She pauses for a moment, suddenly looking a little lost. That said, Hanako usually comes into town with me. Ah, not lost, but worried. The two do seem to keep pretty close tabs on one another. It's kinda surprising that Hanako would just forget Lily like that. I noticed her reading in the library. She probably just got caught up in a book. She lets out a small sigh of relief. Thank you, she has a habit of doing that. Avid reader? Right. She doesn't like being around crowds of people, so reading away from everyone lets her relax a bit. Although she probably didn't intend it, I can't help but grimace as I recall my first meeting with her. Hardly wanting to bring it up, I remain silent as we quietly continue to walk down the quiet road. Tack, 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 tack. With the road bereft of cars and the students of Yamaku increasingly far behind us, the quiet rustling of the leaves and the measured tapping of Lily's cane against the sidewalk are all that can be heard. It's kind of nice, especially compared to the hustle and bustle of where I used to live. Before I know it, I've relaxed so much that a loud yawn escapes before I can control it. Tired? Yeah, I've been running ragged these past few days. That's an understatement to be sure. Transferring into a different school would be bad enough, but nothing like this. Well, hopefully everything should settle down for you. The festival's got everyone in a spin right now, and you've been plopped right in the middle of things. For a moment I hesitate, but given her apparent tolerance for frankness, I decide to give my full thoughts. I guess. Yamaku's kind of different, though. I mean, the formality surrounding everything, the isolation around it, not to mention the most obvious difference. Kind of a whole different mindset. I suppose I'll get used to it, though, in time. She gives a matter-of-fact nod, apparently pleased with my answer. It feels almost as if she's included me in the flock of students she's shepherding, along with Class 3-2 and Hanako. Well, not that I mind. It's nice to get the thoughts off my chest in any case. Looking on the bright side, one could see it as a chance for a new beginning. You should cherish the ability to make new friends. That's optimistic. Nonetheless, it's good to have a positive attitude about such things, I suppose. I guess that's a good take on it. Walking down the road, she seems to become somewhat unsettled. Before I can ask what's on her mind, she seems to collect herself and speak up about something else. So, where in town were you going? That's actually a pretty good question. I'd come to buy food, but the layout of the place is still totally foreign to me. I had intended to just wander around and see what I could find, but with sunset already approaching and nightfall not too far away, that doesn't seem very wise. I'm going to have to ask her for directions, again. I was just going to get some food, but now that you mention it, I don't really know the way. Well now, this is quite lucky. I was just about to go to the convenience store myself. Looks like I'll be in your care again, then. Thanks. Together we walk to the store. My paces are carefully slowed to remain beside her. Compared to my usual walking pace, hers is quite a bit slower. Not that it's without reason. After what couldn't be more than several minutes, I catch sight of our objective. This town really is pretty small. Without further ado, we make our way inside with a greeting from the counter. Mind if I tag along with you? Usually Hanako would help me, but seeing as she's not here... It takes a moment before I realize what she means. Considering she wouldn't be able to read any of the labels, shopping without any help would be a big pain for her. That said, I can't shake the feeling that she'd had this idea since I said I was coming here. Sure, it'd be my pleasure. I grabbed 2 well-used red baskets from the small stack beside the entrance, handing one to Lily. She lays it on the ground, putting her school bag in, retracting her cane, and sliding it through the basket's handles before picking it back up in her right hand. Wait, if she doesn't use her cane... Before I can complete the thought, she comes beside me and pinches the cuff of my uniform in her slender fingers. Is this alright? Sure. I have no reason not to accept. I can think of worse things than shopping with a pretty girl holding on to me, even if it's out of necessity. We navigate our way through the store, with not one of the occasional passing customers seeming to bat an eyelid. Considering how close Yamaku is, I guess seeing students from there must be entirely normal for the local residents. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lily to find out what she needs. I grab it along with what I'm looking for, and put our items into their respective baskets. I guess this is the same routine she and Hanako follow every Friday. Right, all that's left is the bread, and that should be my shopping done. Do you need anything else, Lily? No, this should be everything. Off we go, then. With a quick side trip to the bakery section, we make our way to the registers. The line, thankfully, is almost non-existent. It's not long before we've both paid for our food and are out the door. As Lily retrieves her cane and extends it to full length, I waste a minute looking upwards at the night sky while holding both our bags. For a moment, I try to make clouds with my breath, but the summer's heat doesn't seem to cooperate. Eventually, she rights herself, taking a quick stretch before taking her bag and leaving me to my 2. You tired as well? The festival preparations have been complete chaos. Chizune breathing down my neck doesn't exactly help things either. Hey, she's only trying to get everything organized. Better now than later, right? I suppose. I'm going to enjoy relaxing in town tomorrow, that's for certain. I guess the festival preparations must be taking their toll on both of them. We walk out into the quiet street, talking between ourselves as we carry our bags of food and supplies from the store. Wait, what's that? I notice a very distinctive figure making its way towards us, silhouetted by the street lamps. For a second, I think it's another male student from my class, but as he, or should I say she, gets closer, I recognize her quickly. Rin? What are you doing out here so late? Rin? It suddenly comes to me that I should probably interpret the scene for her. It's Rin Tezuka. I think that was her last name, from our school. She stiffens at the name and gives a complicated-looking expression, something like a forced fusion of a composed smile and a painful cringe. Ah, I understand. I guess Lily knows Rin too. Rin turns to look at us, looking terribly out of it. I'm not entirely sure if she recognizes either of us, or at least she doesn't acknowledge it if she does. She looks like a zombie, or a statue of a zombie. But slowly, some symptoms of understanding seem to light in her dark eyes. This is something she must react to. Rin blinks once, very thoroughly. Hello. There's an awkward pause. Everyone is waiting for someone else to say something. What are you doing here this late? I was wondering about that myself too, just now. Some people asked that just before. I assume they were wondering the same. I didn't know. They didn't know either. I asked. That's why I'm wondering. So that was pretty much it. It's a murder mystery without a murder. They were going that way. She turns facing her right in order to demonstrate the direction the other people went to, as if that was important, then rotates back like a mechanical puppet on one of those overly complicated clockworks. For a person who gives an impression of being the quiet type, Rin really does use a lot of words to say things that don't need a lot to be said. Unsure if she's finished, I say nothing. Neither does Lily, who seems equally robbed of words for the time being. I think that both of us are in fact just scared that any response might provoke her to continue. Our stupefied lack of reaction doesn't faze Rin at all. She keeps looking at us expectantly, a calm hint of expression on her blank face. She seems to be that kind of person, always so relaxed. As if bull elephant-grade sedatives were flowing in her veins in the place of blood. Do you have amnesia? I don't recall you having anything of the sort, though. No, I don't think it's that. The other passerby were probably just worried, though. You do look really lost, the way you're standing in the middle of the street. Oh, I see. Maybe I should have taken some other kind of pose in that case. I pondered for a while whether I should chase this angle further or give up for the sake of my own sanity. I decide on the latter. It seems that most of the time it's better to not read too deeply into what Rin is babbling about. Talking with Rin is like playing chess with a supercomputer who does seemingly completely random moves as if to mock everything you know about chess. It's like that, except with human interaction. And even if I win, it feels like losing. Damn it, it's just like Kenji said, even when I win, I lose. Is this the power of the girls of Yamaku? I push the thought aside as too dangerous to consider further. It's probably just Kenji's anti-female propaganda getting to me during a moment of weakness. Yeah, maybe taking another pose might have worked. So anyway, you have no idea what you're doing here? She frowns, looking extremely displeased at either my question, its consequences, or the answer she's about to give. I do have some idea. I can't really tell what kind of an idea. That sounds like progress, at least. Lily sounds as if she spotted an opening for some kind of discernibly normal conversation. I can't say I share her optimism. Yes, there is some, definitely. The rest will come later. I'm sure of it. I always have reasons. The ensuing silence kills Lily's hopes all too visibly. That didn't last long. Rin's, as far as I can tell, unbased assurances aside, what should be done? We could just leave her to her own devices, whatever those are, but it's late and I don't think we'll be getting any thanks if Rin is found standing here in the middle of the night. Which she probably will unless she manages to remember what she was doing here in the first place. As for me, trying to guess what might have been going on in her mind when she decided to embark on this adventure, the chances seem to be on par with winning the lottery. Several times in a row. Lily is oddly quiet, too. I'd appreciate some support from the sidelines here, especially if she's more familiar with Rin than I am. But it can't be helped. It seems her familiarity with Rin is exactly why she's staying subdued. So I assume you were going somewhere, not coming back to the school. Any idea where? Her eyes widen in shock and she jolts back in a somewhat artificial way, making it seem like an act rehearsed for situations like this. Are you a mind reader? Is that your ability? How unique. No, what? Why would you think that? You knew what I was doing. It was just an educated guess. We walked this same street in the other direction just before to get to the store. If you were going to school, we would have met you on the way. Oh. She looks a little depressed. Like Kenji, Rin appears quick to jump to completely irrational conclusions. Maybe it's something in the water here. I make a mental note to stock up on soft drinks. You know, that's the second time this week that someone has asked me if I was a mind reader. Do I really give off that impression? Rin shrugs her shoulders, which is all the answer I get. You know, maybe you should come with us back to the school. Lily interjects just as I am about to further debunk my alleged mind-reading capabilities. She sounds rather concerned. The paper-thin smile on her face is badly disguising that fact. Maybe she came to the same conclusion as I did. For everyone's sake, I decided to let the mind-reading topic drop, as it's entirely inane anyway. Yeah, Lily's right. If you can't remember, there's no point in staying here. Rin considers this rather simple deduction for a moment, then nods. Okay. We start towards the school again, having wasted way more time than necessary with this episode. Rin walks along the edge of the sidewalk in her arrhythmic way, looking like a mix of a sleepwalker and a rope dancer, while Lily keeps one hand on my shoulder, tapping at the ground with her cane. Tap, step, step, tap, tap, step, step, step. Apart from that, and a few fragmented beginnings of conversation, it's quiet. A quiet quite apart from the relaxing one in town at that. So, how's the mural going? We are going to get bad luck. Never talk about works in progress. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Bad luck. Tap, step, tap, step. She doesn't care to talk about it. Lily's politeness feels out of place for the first time. The hill Yamaku rests on top of is surprisingly steep going uphill. We slow the pace, but I still feel my pulse rising and breathing getting heavier. Almost there, I can see the gates already. More than that though, I notice that Lily's hand slightly tightens on my shoulder. Interpreting it as a gesture that she wants to ask something, I speak up. Anything wrong, Lily? I resist the urge to say, aside from our traveling companion, but only just. For a moment, she seems to debate whether she should even bring it up, but goes for it anyway. Is everything alright? Alright? How do you mean? The fact that I can't interpret her incredibly vague question puts her off for a second. It's just, you seem unusually tired, I guess. Now that she brings it up, I notice that my breathing is strangely heavy. The uphill walk has really done a job on me. Lily noticed it all too quickly. Okay, sorry in bad shape is the thing I'm supposed to say to be on Rin's route. I had to check. It's alright, I just need to catch my breath. My condition isn't the best these days. Oh. Is it something that is related to you being transferred here? I mean... She cuts herself off rather abruptly, maybe realizing that she was being a bit intrusive. Her instincts are sharp, though, and while I don't like the subject, it's not like I should lie about it. If it's Lily, I don't think I mind. I'm just a little weak for the time being. Hanako said that you look fairly healthy, so I naturally thought... Lily doesn't finish her sentence again, letting it trail off with a measure of concern. As she furrows her brow, Lily's uncomfortable expression spurs me to say at least something to ease her feelings. It's surprising that she's this flustered, considering her straightforward attitude with her own blindness. She must know that not all share her own comfort about such things. I have a pretty... I guess the best way to put it would be messed up heart arrhythmia. I had a bad heart attack a while ago because of it and spent most of the spring in a hospital. Ended in Yamaku on doctor's orders. She silently nods her head in acknowledgement. My answer, though, only seems to make Lily furrow her brow even further. She doesn't seem to quite know how to react, given that we don't really know each other that well. I can't really fault her for it, given that I have the exact same reaction. While I do want to assuage her concern, I really don't want to dwell on this either. Don't worry about it. I try to offer a reassuring smile, but then I realize the futility. Without knowing this, Lily smiles at me reassuringly, but doesn't say anything further. Arriving at the dorms, Rin stops in front of her mural as if lightning struck her. She had been so quiet for almost all of the walk back that I had all but forgotten she was here. Arriving at the dorms, Rin stops in front of her mural as if lightning struck her. She had been so quiet for almost all of the walk back that I had all but forgotten she was here. It's Friday, isn't it? Yes, Friday, the 8th of June. This is bad. Bad? Why? I think I'm going to go into a fetal position and then throw up, possibly in reverse order. Is something wrong? No, nothing's wrong. It's Friday and nothing is wrong yet. This mural, it's going to need to be finished by Sunday, so everything's alright. Do you have any drugs? Or a time machine? This is not good. Not good. So she's behind her schedule. Recalling Shizune's exasperation at Rin's carefree attitude several days ago, I don't know what to think. She's left herself open for a told you so unless she can pull off whatever she needs to pull off by Sunday morning. Rin keeps staring at her mural, looking as mortified as she can. Leave me. I'm going to need to work for a while. I glance at Lily, expecting her to share an incredulous look with me as I roll my eyes, but then I realize she's not one to do that kind of thing. Leave me. We do, of course, not wanting to aggravate her any more than she already is. There's a churning bad feeling in my gut. Rin sure has a knack for making people feel worried about her. She seems like a person who should never be left alone. Maybe we should call someone? She sounded like she was going into shock or something. I'm sure she'll be just fine. She's how to say... Lily cocks her head a little, trying to find a polite way of calling Rin crazy without calling her crazy. Unique? Yes, a very unique person. I guess you could say that. She giggles at the notion melodiously, nodding in agreement. Sorry about leaving you stranded as you talk to her. I don't really understand her, so I keep my distance. So my guess was right. Lily offers a slight, apologetic smile, as if she was sorry that her own shortcomings have prevented her from becoming closer to Rin. I'm not one to blame her at all. Lily lets slip a long breath, probably a disguised yawn. I imagine she's as exhausted by all this as I am. I better leave now and give these to Hanako. Thank you for the company, Hisao. She smiles very sweetly at me. It feels different than normal, despite the fact that she seems to be smiling so often. I can't put my finger on what the difference is, it's just different. Relaxed, I'd say, but that's probably just relief over getting rid of Rin. Maybe. Yeah, good night. Say hi to Hanako for me. I will. Good night. The students roll into class for the Saturday morning session, each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who have worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until the lunch break, and then our time is our own. Muto lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Skip. Nakai, can I speak to you for a moment? Okay. Muto stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he's trying to say. Not knowing what is going on, I wait silently. So, tell me, how are things? Things? I expected Muto to be a little vague, but this is pushing the limits. You know, things. You've had a week to settle in now, so how are things? Fine, I guess. I see. And how is your condition? The pause before condition seemed a little unnecessary. I haven't had any problems so far. A brief shimmer of relief passes across Muto's face. Good, that's good. The school nurse was a little concerned that you might have been pushing yourself a bit too hard. He asked me to keep an eye on you when he couldn't. That makes sense. I'd ask that you don't blow us off so freely. As much as we try to give you the level of education that you would get at a normal school, you have to realize that you have limits. Our goal is to make sure that you know where those limits are and how to maximize your potential within them. Do you follow me? I guess. I mean, I don't plan on doing anything stupid. Well, that's a start, I guess. So then, on to my next question. How are you finding your studies? I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? Okay, skip. There's a boy. At the art club, you see. Blind boy, so he doesn't see. You already told me. I glance sideways at Emmy, and she glances back in a way that tells me she's heard this one before, too. Neither of us says anything to Rin, though, so she continues her monotone soliloquy like an unfunny stand-up comedian. He should become an artist. No bad luck. Guaranteed. Don't you think that would be a good idea? That only blind people should become artists? No, not as such. You might have a point. Abandoning this train of thought, she turns again to consider her work and starts humming a tune that I think I recognize but can't remember the name of. Emmy arranges the supplies we brought and moves a few paint cans around, trying to bring some organization to the scene. Emmy, I need the Prussian blue paint. Which one's Prussian blue? She's staring helplessly at 7 or 8 cans, each with a different tone of blue. It's the one with the Prussian blue paint in it. Okay, we saw this part already. Emmy heaves a sigh. I guess I have to go back and get some. I promised to help with our class project, though, so I'll be back a bit later. Can you manage without it for a few hours? Rin nods, and so Emmy leaves. I stay because I like watching Rin paint, and because I have nothing better to do. I sit on a box and pick up today's book from my bag. It's a story about 3 guys drinking beer for 2 weeks straight and doing little else. Rin moves from the spot that was in need of the blue and starts slowly working on another. Her foot works the brush steadily against the plastered wall. Layers of paint on top of layers of paint, the mural slowly gains more form. I turn the pages at a leisurely pace. In this chapter, they are drinking beer at the protagonist's friend place. In the previous ones, it was the protagonist's own apartment. It's not a page-turner kind of book, it's a slice of someone's imaginary life that makes me wonder why it had to be written. Why indeed? The reason for doing something creative. It's something incomprehensible. Like why Rin does paintings. It feels like she and Emmy are the same, going squarely against their fates as if it's just out of spite. Rin even said something like that. Do something you can't just because you can. Is that what she meant? Is that her reason? It might be Emmy's. She comes off as quite a headstrong person. Rin doesn't give off that kind of an air. Thinking about it, she doesn't give off any kind of air. Or maybe a different kind every time I talk with her. Why did she say what she said? Why does she, or anyone at all, paint, or draw, or sculpt, or write? I've never had much of a creative impulse, so I don't think I can really understand it. It makes me feel hollow inside. What a grim thought. I can't really decide whether it's true or not, either. Am I content being this way? I can't deny I'm feeling a little bit envious of Rin, but I can't really consider it a flaw of any kind. I'm myself and she's herself. Still, I do need to find something. Something that could make me feel a little less lost about myself, instead of just drowning myself in these books as I did in the hospital. I can't help but feel disoriented. The new school lifestyle and people around me contribute heavily to this sensation. I'm trying my best to fit into existing social circles, and most of the people that I've met have been really nice. It still feels like I'm an outsider, though, like I don't belong. I shake the feeling off, realizing that I'm spacing out. I have neither turned a page of the book nor done anything for Rin. She's trying to pour some paint from a big can using only her feet, having not bothered to ask me, or maybe she did and I didn't hear it. Either way, it looks very unstable. I quickly jump to help her as it looks like she's about to spill the entire contents of the can all over the pavement. I take the can from her feet and pour some into the bowl. She doesn't say anything, and neither do I. I catch a glimpse of her eyes looking silently at me from under her unkempt bangs. It's an unreadable expression, a perfect poker face mixed with a hint of something like mild surprise. I wonder what she's thinking. Maybe she's wondering about what I'm thinking, maybe nothing. Penny for your thoughts? Do you have any pennies with you? I don't think I do. Then I don't think I will tell. I'm not thinking about anything either, so you're in luck, except now I just did. She frowns, looking very unsatisfied. It's hard not to think about anything, but it's important. I'm about to ask why it's important when some old guy walks up to us, looking like he has some business with Rin. Good afternoon, how is it going? I can make it. Rin doesn't take her eyes off the wall and responds so naturally that I can only assume they know each other. I haven't seen the man before, so I naturally wonder who he might be. Maybe a teacher? His hair has faded to a silvery gray, so much so that it looks artificially dyed. I hope that's not the case. Small, round glasses hang on the bridge of his nose, but it appears he's constantly looking over the lenses rather than through them. He's studying the mural intently over said glasses. Good, good. What a bold composition you have here. He moves to inspect the mural closer, talking to himself about it in a way that makes it obvious he wants us to hear it too. Very good indeed. I don't really know what to make of it, but Rin doesn't seem to care much. She's looking around her working space, the various bowls of different tones scattered all over. Hisao? A little bit more of this? Give me a second. I pour a 50-50 mix of two paints into the bowl to create more of the same pale pink tone Rin was using to fill up the shape of a man's face. Rin watches me doing so, which makes me feel nervous somehow. Her face is so unassuming that it feels like she's just waiting for me to do something wrong. The man turns to reckon me as well, looking surprised as if he noticed my presence only just now. Maybe he did. Why hello there, who might you be? I'm a transfer student to class 3-3, Hisao Nakai. Nice to meet you. Muto's class, huh? Well, I won't hold that against you. He laughs very loudly, obnoxiously loudly. A few small birds take flight from a nearby tree. I'm Shinshin Namiya, the art teacher. So this is the art teacher. In retrospect, I should have guessed that much. He even looks like one, as far as first impressions go. How did you come to end up assisting my protege? I wish I knew. I'm interested in the art club. I guess I'm a little interested in the art club. I blurted out, partially inadvertently. What do you mean? Nothing specific. I wonder if I could come by sometime, even if it's just to observe or something. I've been thinking that I should go join some club or something, so... It's in no way a premeditated move, but a vague sense of determination has really been building inside of me for the past week. I want to do something. I want to belong somewhere. It might as well be the art club, my shortcomings notwithstanding. The teacher seems pleased. Oh, you want to join? Well, we always welcome new people, of course. Club meetings are normal enough. We study various aspects of the fine arts and try our hands at them as well. Or feet. He gives an embarrassed cough, but Rin doesn't seem to mind. I take a small amount of comfort from the fact that I'm not the only one with vocabulary difficulties in this school. Namiya rebounds from his faux pas by theatrically checking the time from his huge gleaming pocket watch and slaps his forehead even more theatrically. I really must take my leave now, but if you have questions, I'm sure Tezuka can clarify. Somehow mentioning clarify and Rin in the same sentence doesn't feel right. However, I shouldn't say as much to the teacher since he seems to be in a hurry. Tezuka, I'm pleased to see that this little project is going so well. I just stopped by to remind you not to run off by yourself tomorrow. I've invited certain people at the festival for you, and I'm sure they'd like to meet you as well. I hope I'll see you on Monday then, Nakai. The teacher leaves and we are left by ourselves again. Rin is still painting as if nothing notable happened. Since nothing in fact did, I'm left wondering what on earth is wrong with me. Art and I haven't worked well together in the past, at least judging from the grades I used to have in middle school. Maybe a club will be different than an obligatory class. Who knows? I try to come up with something meaningful to ask about it, but to no avail. I'll just go to a club meeting and see how it goes. So he invited some people tomorrow just to check out your painting? He has a lot of art people friends. They like to talk about art. I think he wants me to talk about art with them. Somehow I get the feeling that you aren't too thrilled about it. Rin shrugs non-committally, but it still gives an impression of her general displeasure at the idea of having to discuss her painting, or any painting, with other people. I don't really like talking about art. It's already a way to talk without talking, so why bother talking about it? I can understand that. It's like being bored and talking about being bored because you are bored. I'm not following you. Have you ever talked about being bored? It's pointless and not very exciting. All you can really say about it is, I'm so bored. I once spent a week trying to think of something meaningful to say about boredness. It was the most boring week I've ever had. But that's pretty fitting, don't you think? Rin gives me a look, the laconic kind that looks like it doesn't mean anything, but it does. Anyway, I don't know, I guess I just rarely can come up with anything to say about art. I mean, like, this one you're doing now, I have no idea what to think about it except that it looks nice. What is this painting about? It's not about anything at all. And that's what I'd like to say, so I did. But that was a small lie. I said it anyway because I would kind of like it to be true. Teacher wanted me to do this, but I didn't have any ideas. I tried to have some, but nothing happened. So now this is a painting without any ideas. But what are you painting then? No idea. Come to think of it, I think I'll call this No Idea. Ah, now I'm started thinking again. This is bad. She shakes her head vigorously for a while, trying to shake the thinking out of her head. That amber red hair flies wildly around. This is why I had Emmy help me. She makes it easy to not think about anything. You know how she just talks and talks about nothing for hours? It's like her head is made out of bubblegum foam bath jelly. You are kinda the same, but not really. It's very helpful if you stay here. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not. It's probably neither, with Rin being the overtly neutral person that she is. So is there anything specific you'd like me to do to make you not think? Just be. So without knowing what I should do, I just sit on an empty box to watch her continue with the painting, idly leafing the pages of the beer-drinking book. Rin has a serene expression on her face, her dark green eyes hiding what she might think behind them. No, wait, she's supposedly not thinking anything, right? She quietly hums to a tune, interrupting every now and then with polite requests for more paint or another kind of brush. Her concentration is admirable, even though she seems to be sleep-deprived and under pressure to finish the job. Inch by inch, the painting gains more form, details being added on top of details, colors entwining with each other, filling the empty spaces and growing on top of each other. I find myself thinking about inspiration and motivation to create art again. Where does one get ideas? They don't come out of nowhere, and I don't think that there are muses that magically inject some inspiration into your head. Ideas have an origin and a purpose. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that Rin is lying about her mural, or at least twisting the truth. Maybe she doesn't even realize it herself. You can't do anything creative without having an idea of what you are going to create. That would go against the definition. Every stroke must be decided to be drawn. Even if it's made at random, then that too is a conscious decision. So her painting, even this one, must be based on having some deliberate goal or idea of what to paint. If Rin's idea is to have no idea, as she said, does that count as having an idea? A logical paradox? That seems to be Rin's modus operandi for most normal interactions, so it wouldn't surprise me if she hadn't even noticed this herself. I wonder if I should bring it up, but I'm not sure if I want to engage in an argument about logic with this girl. One of us would probably end up short-circuiting fairly quickly, so I discard the thought. Rin is squirming and shuffling restlessly. Even her usual blank visage breaks occasionally into pretty difficult-looking expressions, the kind that one doesn't just come up with accidentally. Everything all right? Yes. No. My back started hurting again. This painting is too big. After all, it's hard to paint in this position. You want to take a break? After I finish this part. Of course she doesn't take a break, and I don't bring it up again because that would be completely and utterly pointless. Rin continues her work, and I stay with her. I like to watch her paint, and I'm going to be a member of the same club she's in now. When she declares the mural to be finished, it's already so dark that I have no idea how she can tell. There's no celebration, no general sense of a job well done. Just a tired and laconic, "I'm done," and then we both go to sleep.